All right, let's jump right in. Think about it for a second. The cross, it's everywhere, right? You see it on necklaces, on top of buildings, even as tattoos. But have you ever stopped to wonder how that symbol, an ancient instrument of torture, of brutal execution, became one of the most powerful symbols of hope in the entire world? It's a wild transformation. So yeah, let's unpack that incredible journey.
Some symbols are just instant. You see those golden arches and boom, you know exactly what it is. Fast food, right? You're probably already thinking about fries. It's a logo that hits you with a clear message, no words needed.
And it's the same deal with this one. That little swoosh, it's way more than just shoes. It screams victory, athleticism, that whole just do it mindset. See, these logos are so powerful because they're jam-packed with meaning. They tell you everything about a brand's identity and what they stand for.
Or how about this one? Instantly, you think innovation, sleek design, a whole universe of tech. Okay, so with that in mind, let's pivot. Let's talk about a symbol that's probably even more famous and has a story behind it that's just infinitely more complex. The cross. I mean, if we stick with that brand logo analogy for a second, what's its message? What is it selling? What values does it stand for? Well, to really get what it means to people today, we've got to rewind. We have to go all the way back to what it meant originally. And let me tell you, its original meaning was the opposite of hopeful. It was terrifying. Okay, so to really understand the power of the cross, we have to start by looking its brutal history square in the face. This story doesn't begin with comfort or peace. Nope, it begins with agony. And wretched is, well, putting it mildly. The Romans had perfected crucifixion. For them, it was a tool of state terror. It wasn't just about killing a person. Oh no. It was about doing it in the most public, the most painful, the most humiliating way you could possibly imagine. It was all about sending a crystal clear message. Don't mess with Rome. But in the Christian telling of this story, the focus actually shifts a little. The physical horror was immense, for sure, but the greatest pain wasn't the nails. As this verse here suggests, it was this profound spiritual agony, a sense of being separated from God while carrying the weight of the world's sin. So just try to put yourself in the shoes of one of his followers at that moment. The person you believed was the Savior, the Messiah. He's just been publicly executed in the most shameful way possible. This wasn't victory. This was the ultimate catastrophic defeat. Hope wasn't just gone, it was dead. And they were absolutely terrified. But the story doesn't end there. Not even close. In fact, this is the exact moment where the entire meaning of this symbol gets completely flipped on its head. It's a journey from total, crushing defeat to something absolutely impossible. And the timeline here is so important. So Jesus is laid in a tomb. His followers, they spend the Sabbath hiding, just completely broken. Then on the morning of that third day, a few women head to the tomb. And they're not expecting a miracle, not at all. They're just going to anoint the body with spices, a final loving act of goodbye. And what they find is the message that changes everything. They get there, and the huge stone that sealed the tomb, it's been rolled away. And inside, there's no body. Instead, there's an angel who delivers this absolutely stunning news. This moment right here is the pivot point for the entire Christian faith. But here's a really human detail that I find fascinating. Their first reaction wasn't joy, it wasn't celebration. The Gospels are clear. They literally ran from the tomb filled with trembling and astonishment. They were scared. Even when they told the other disciples, they didn't believe it at first. I mean, the news was just so impossible, so world-shattering, that even the people who were told this would happen couldn't wrap their heads around it. So here's the crucial point, right? The empty tomb starts to totally reframe the meaning of the empty cross. Suddenly, that instrument of defeat starts to become a symbol of something else entirely. It's a symbol of victory over the one thing it was designed to cause, death itself. But this was so much more than just a simple plot twist or a reversal of fortune. See, the resurrection didn't just cancel out the crucifixion, it filled it, infused it with these deep, profound layers of meaning. And this is where the symbol gets its real lasting power. In Orthodox Christian theology, for instance, there's this idea that you just can't understand the cross all by itself. The Last Supper, the crucifixion, and the resurrection, they're not seen as three separate events. Nope, they're seen as three parts of one single, inseparable act of redemption from God. So let's break that down a bit. At the Last Supper, Jesus offers himself symbolically, right? He's anticipating the sacrifice. Then, on the cross, that sacrifice becomes painfully real. And finally, in the resurrection, that very same body is glorified, proving that the sacrifice actually conquered death. It's all one continuous divine mystery. And this quote just illustrates that paradox so brilliantly. The idea here is that even back at that supper, as he offered the bread and wine, the power of both the sacrifice and the victory were somehow already there. It's this incredible mystery that kind of collapses time, showing that life and death, defeat and victory were woven together from the very beginning. And really, this is the key takeaway. Without the resurrection, the cross is just a tragedy. It's the sad story of a good man being executed. But with the resurrection, well, that's what transforms it into what Christians believe is an act of atonement. It becomes a victory with the power to forgive sin and ultimately to conquer death. So, okay, what does this ancient story, with all its deep theology, actually mean for us today? At its core, it all comes down to one thing: finding hope in the last place you'd ever think to look, right in the middle of suffering. Just look at this comparison. It lays out the transformation so clearly. Without the resurrection, what is the cross? It's a symbol of failure, of pain, of death being the absolute end. But with the resurrection, it becomes the complete opposite. It becomes a symbol that pain can be redeemed, that defeat isn't the final word, and that in the end, hope actually wins. And that right there is the core message of Christian hope. It's not a promise that you'll have a life without any pain or suffering, not at all. Instead, it's this deeply held belief that even in our darkest moments, suffering doesn't get the last word. The cross becomes this powerful reminder that something like redemption can, and does, emerge from tragedy. So we kind of end up right back where we started, staring at this profound paradox. How could an instrument of execution be the ultimate symbol of hope? The story of the cross is the story of a symbol that was completely redefined. It went from representing the absolute worst of humanity to being a sign of divine love and the ultimate victory. It's a transformation that really challenges all of us, to look for hope even in what seems like the most hopeless places imaginable.